Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Energy Blueprint Day, Part 1 from Tehran, Iran. This is Monday, July 18th, 2022, and this is a broadcast of the Kesh Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Hammond, and I'll be host today, and we're hosting Mr. Kesh of the Kesh Foundation, who will be presenting today's revolutionary news on the energy front. Mr. Kesh, I believe you're ready to go. We have a live broadcast.
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning, good day to you as usual, wherever and when I listen to a series of knowledge seekers from Kesh Foundation Spaceship Institute. Today, we are doing something which we stopped about 3-4 years ago. We go back on the blueprint, but this time the blueprint is not to show you how to make the systems. We show you how we have made the systems. 4 years ago, we showed you how to use the magraps. Many of you made it, and a lot of you complain you can't get what it is. The purpose of today's teaching or presentation is primarily to show you an independent system, primarily to show you that the plasma technology in conjunction with everything else works. And then on the back side of this presentation, which should take about 1 hour to 2 hours, we show you evolution in the science and technology. The production of the system, which is what you are going to get, those of you who ordered the enhancement energy unit. And with it, we show today primarily from Tehran. Tehran factory laboratory will show the comparison between the two systems if you are not using the technology which we developed and as normal usage. Then after this takes about 1 hour or 2. We try to be with it all the time. Our team there are all masked and covered for purposes we know how the state of Israel works, not to target our scientists in Tehran. And then after this, we go to show a change in the knowledge. Up to now, many of you over past years produced hydrogen as a gas, but in what we call the GANS state. Today, for the first time, Kesh Foundation and our team in Tehran will show, as if you remember, a few years ago, we showed gold and zinc, which was produced in Linz. We show, for the first time, production of gases. As I explained before, this technology was fully developed in early 2000 and not shelved, but used for the purposes of the space development technology. In a space, we cannot take material. In a space, we cannot take everything and rely on it, that will be there when we need it. And we don't know what we need at which point, in what shape or form. So when we said, can you put the pictures on the Iranian 2 flight system, please, if you have it, to share it. When we went into the structure of building the Iranian flight systems, we use hydrogen, we use helium, we use other things to create the ignition of the nuclear reaction, and as is on the patterns, centralization. And then we need to produce these materials as we need, when we need. Up to now, we showed you creation of matter in a solid state. Now we have to show the creation of gases from the field. And then, hopefully, in the next 2 or 3 months, we will show the creation of liquid. These are the systems which is actually partially built in the flight enhancement unit, because this is what you're going to need in the space. So when we go back to understanding, is that when we look at the Iranian flight system, which we shown in public in 2011 on the 3rd of December, these reactors are fueled by this technology, which means we can travel the depth of the universe without ever carrying fuel. We carry fuels which can convert into fields that it creates gravity and magnetic fields and allows us to create a plasma according to the position. This is an evolution and revolution in the world of science. Two reasons. Why we decided to release the energy system last week, or 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, and now we released the knowledge of production of what we call gases, is primarily because what has happened in Ukraine. We expect, according to the politicians in Germany and France, unrest due to the lack of gases, a gas line, which is piped from Russia into Western Europe. We know the major pipeline to what we call Germany was shut down a few days ago on the cover of the what we call repair. If the Russians are going to open it up, we do not know. If the Russians will keep it shut or during the winter shut it, the whole purpose of shutting the pipeline summertime is for the Western nations, which are connected, Germany 65%, Austria about 80% on the what we call the Russian gas pipeline, they cannot fill up the reserve tanks. Then we'll be at the bid of the Russians. We show this technology today. We invited the Americans and the Germans, the what we call Western heads of states to be online. They're in the background and they understand. The Chinese heads of governments are in the background, they can understand. The Iranian heads of governments are in the background, they can understand what this means. What this means for the first time, we can show that we do not need to dig into the ground to get gases out. As I said before, with the new technology, it's very simple. Today, we drill holes, we get oil or we get gas, then we put it through refining to get a specific gas for a specific job. With this, what we're going to show today is the beginning of evolution. We're done with, as we did with the hospitals and the prisons, we do with refinery. We tailor-make the material we need. We can produce hydrogen. We show it, you will see it, because our team in Tehran will burn it for you in front of you as it comes out of the system, showing that we developed the gas. We produce, many of you tried the CH3 or H3. H3 in a gas state is critical, is the basis for the ignition of hydrogen bomb, which means when we show this technology in Iran today, Iran has access the knowledge to build and develop hydrogen bomb, which changes the game. But now, up to now, IEA had a problem with us. We are nuclear-based. Now we are hydrogen-based, we're plasma-based. And with this technology, as you see, the reactors built in Iran originally powered by these gases now bring Iran to another point of development. We show this in Tehran today. We show the delivery of the hydrogen gas and methane and others on Thursday from Linz, Austria, which means the technology is not confined to one, is owned by the Keshe Foundation as a knowledge seekers, which changes the political situation. My message to His Excellency President Biden is very simple. Stop all the nonsense with nuclear proliferation, because now Iran has access to atomic hydrogen. It's very simple. When we started this, as you see the colors, every single one is one atom. Now, as you have seen before, when we produce gases, each single cell sits on its own, which means when we produce gas in the system we show in Iran is a monoatomic gas molecules, which means is preempt for ignition, is preempt for plasma, is preempt for nuclear hydrogen explosion, which this brings an end to all the battles we had with IAEA and changed the whole game. in a way, not only Iran, the whole of the Western world and educated teams in China, Japan, North Korea, South Korea, with the release of this technology today, have access to atomic hydrogen. We use it for the benefit of peace. We develop, we release the plasma in the reactors for space technology and food production, or we battle each other, as has happened on the frontiers of the hydrogen bomb. But this time, this hydrogen bomb is slightly different than the American hydrogen bomb and the Chinese, and that is a plasma hydrogen, which means one reaction can cover, in special cases, the whole planet. So this teaching of today, this presentation of today, is not just to show you how we create a small amount of energy, is to show the change of game in energy, in space, in nuclear industry, and as we say, the proof of the pudding is in eating it. We show you how simply we produce atomic hydrogen, and how simply we convert it into gas to burn. This is important because this technology, when we show you the methane production as well, means Russian goodbye gas line. We can place these systems in a handheld size, which will show in Tehran, which is done, and a big size at the power stations, which means we can close the gas line to China, to Russia for good. It means we can place these at the fuel stations. You don't need pipeline, you don't need delivery of the methane or whatever to the fuel stations that you go and tank it. It'll be delivered directly at the fuel station, and it produces as it is, as it wants. Originally, we discussed this matter to build the stations like this in northern China when I was in China. And because of the corona, everything is stopped. Now we are bringing it out because there's a time for it. And that is, you people are well versed in the West. You can go to a garage, buy a converter, put a gas tank in the back of the car, and run your car on a gas. And maybe when it runs out, you go into the fuel engine. Now you can tank the gas at home. You can tank it. You can use that tank for cooking. You can use it for heating, which means Western Europe or Western world becomes independent of the gas production from the sources in the mines, in the pipelines. This will paralyze the situation which countries have forced on us because they have the resources. This needs to be taught on the mainline channels by the governments, that people start making it, government controls it, and what we've seen, what I call one-to-one parity, which sits with the dollar and euro today because of the what I call breakdown in the whole structure of the Western Europe's production because of the lack of energies, high increase in the fuel cost and the food cost, all comes to an end. But now we release the technology live, you can see it, and then because we're doing it in 2 nations, it means it's not restricted anymore. It means all of us have access to it, and all of us will have access to it. And the whole process is, what's next? If we produce these gases and then burn them to create heat or boil or whatever, or even use them to blow in the gases like a turbine, windmill, produce electricity, or we can burn them the traditional way for any purpose, or we can charge batteries. We can put these in Tesla cars, which means you don't need to fuel the car anymore. The way, if you remember, in end of last century, as I used to live in England, British Telecom started buying hundreds and thousands of telephone boxes, the new modern one, to put across the country. Mobile phone came, and all those phones became obsolete. They're just like a sore eye right across London and the rest of England. Now, with this technology, fuel stations become a sore eye because we don't need it anymore. Going to a fuel station, going to these new charger pumps on the side to charge your electric cars, as of today, become history. How fast we develop it, how fast the knowledge seekers and the Keshe Foundation develop it, will come to be part of your work. I've done my job. I bring the change. The next step for me is delivery of the liquid, which means those are part of our technology over centuries where we rely on gasoline, which is a liquid. Now we have shown the solid state, we show the gas state, and when we bring the liquid state, you will understand is the completion of the cycle for space development, where we can actually produce water. We can produce, in certain conditions, acidic condition. We can produce all sorts of things in liquid condition. And transformation and transmutation from energy to matter will be complete. But today, the message is very clear. Iran has access to hydrogen bomb. Iran has access to the hydrogen technology. And as we can produce hydrogen for the energy as we see we burn it, now because the gas you see is monoatomic, it means the basis for a hydrogen plasma, and this is why we developed the technology. I advise and I invite His Excellency Ayatollah Sa'i of Iran as a president and His Eminence Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran to release the technology to the world. Our team in Tehran is there, and I have to tell to our counterparts, especially American scientists and nuclear and NASA, game is over. You are checkmated, totally and utterly. And the whole thing is we go into the space technology according to the plasmatic magnetic field. Sorry that you work for 40 years and you use the Hiroshima bomb, but this time we don't use it for military purposes. We use it for peace. And message from Tehran is very clear. Stop the nonsense of nuclear boycotts, because the new plasma hydrogen has the capability to become the superpower that you could not even use supersonic and super speed, what we call rockets, are useless. The way we captured your drones in 4th of December 2011, we capture anything you have and we send it outside that cannot harm nobody. The message is a message of peace, not the power. And Iran will show its power today. Keshe Foundation is an Iranian-based establishment, scientific organization, non-military. But we are open enough to share with everyone. And the message today, and then we'll show on Thursday in Austria, is the knowledge belongs to one nation, one planet, one race. And we show it in Tehran, we show it in Austria, and I'm sure soon we will see it in Arizona and in Guangzhou or Jindanjiang as part of the Keshe Foundation structure. But we go first to Tehran. Our team in Tehran is ready on a standby. We want to show you the power of plasma, where most of you in a way failed to complete the whole process. In Tehran, what you see, we use a battery to show that there is no what you call connection to anywhere. Two parallel systems next to each other, one with the Keshe Foundation technology in the box and one without. As you will be using the battery, you go camping, your battery lasts 1 hour, may last 1.5 hours or 2 hours. It's totally irrelevant. Being plus unity is the important thing. But then you have to realize when you receive these units, you plug and play in the system on the electricity. So you will see the same process, the same reduction in your electric bill supplies. This, we had to do it this way to show how, as knowledge seekers, you all got it wrong. And it's in the teaching. There is no magic in what we do. It's been part of the teaching. I kept on explaining to you, but you listened to what you wanted to hear, not what I explained in teaching. Are people in Tehran? Yusuf, can you come online? Can you hear us? Can you go and share with us? Can we get Tehran back online?
Okay, now we can see it clearly.
یوسف جان این دوربینا همینجوری ببندینش دیگه تکون نخوره. As you see, we have left and the right unit. The left side is a standard. If you have a battery, you have a fridge, you have lights. On the right side, you have the same setup with a difference of in the background, you see a box, which is the plasma energy box. We start everything at the same time and we let it run because this is a live presentation. As I always say, we see on both sides. On the right side, the flag of the beautiful nation of Iran. On the left side, the beautiful flag of the Keshvar Nation International, KFSSI. And we stand by both as one nation. And this is what the purpose of this presentation is. No nationality. Keshvar Nation stands as one nation on its own. And this is what we emphasize from now on. We control energy supply, we control food, so we are responsible for our nations and nationals as one. What is important for us? We ask for 2 units to be switched on at the same time, and we let it run. No interference. And we see where we stop. And when we stop, we record it. If you remember, we did the same thing with the 129. We did the same thing with the, when we stopped the reactors in what we call Desensano between Canada and Germany. So we go through the same process. This is a live testing. We done this test for the Americans last week 2 or 3 times, so we know what the outcome is. We know we go over 1. If there is no difference between the 2, both systems have the lights or the buzzer of the what we call the system will go on. On the left side, if you look on the table, you have what we call inverter. We have to change the DC to AC on both sides. And then each inverter has a light on it. And there are 3 lights on a what we call the box. And we run at the same time. The whole structure is when the buzzer goes, it means we stop the system because we open the fridge doors and you will see there is no light, which means the system has enough power to light up for a few more minutes, the light bulbs, but the load, which is what we call the motors from the compressors and the rest will change. Would you like to start the system and the time? At the moment in Tehran is 11:18. If we wait a couple of minutes, we start at 1:20 Tehran time, and then we all measure. And then this will be important for all of us. What I want to do, if it's possible, Yusuf, to go with another camera, if you can share, to show that none of the system is connected to anything. We build the system in the middle. That means we want to show everything is very transparent, that there are no other connections. Can you take a camera and go around the system, please? Okay. Now show the whole system around and what it is, and I'll translate.
روزبه جان
بله.
ما اینجا 2 تا باتری داریم که 74 آمپر هست. هر دو تا مثل همه.
Just wait. We have 2 batteries that are both 74 amps. It's a standard car battery.
اینجا 2 تا اینورتر از یه مدل یه برند و یه قدرت داریم.
We have 2 inverters from the same company, the same brand, the same power.
این صورت اینجا یه واتمتر داریم.
We have a watt meter. We can measure wattage and amperage on it if we need to.
این هم اینورتر کنار دستگاه هست که این هم مثل همون هست 1500 وات از یه برند مینول هست.
This is the Keshe Foundation side, the same inverter. Yes.
این پلازما پاور یونیت ما هست که از خروجیش واتمتر رو وصل کردیم و از واتمتر وصل کردیم به چند راه برقی پاور مودیول.
So they have connected it to same, and from this they take to the fridge.
این یخچال هست که وصل شده به یخچال.
Okay. میشه در یخچال باز کنی؟ It's aligned to the fridge. میشه در یخچال باز کنی؟
بله.
We see everything is switched off.
Yes.
Okay. میشه در رو ببرنی. میشه بری پشت سیستم همه پشت رو نشون بدی؟
بله.
What we're doing is we show the back for you to see there are no connections anywhere. There are no, what do you call it, hidden lines, anything. We are in Keshe Foundation Laboratory in Tehran and in manufacturing. And the boxes you see that are on, these are the CO2 box. We put it up that you can see it, and it stops the inverters to heat up. This is again on the other side connected to the, what we call the fridge. This is the non-Keshe Foundation side. And میشه بری دورش کامل.
بله.
As you see, our team is in the background. We have a devoted team in Tehran, and they've been working there. Even yesterday was a national holiday. They were there to make sure we show this technology clearly and understood clearly. And this is the fridge on the other side. Both batteries has been charged to the maximum. And میشه کابوشان بس کنی. ساعت چنده دقیقاً؟ Can you tell us the time?
ساعت الان 1:21.
Okay, can you connect it? 11:20.
بسش میکنم.
بله؟
الان بسش میکنم.
We connect around about 1:25, 1:21, whatever. This is where the proof comes. If we shut at the same time, means Keshe Foundation development and what technology we released, you could not complete over Unity. Even 1 minute extra, 5 minutes extra, we can put because of whatever we said tolerances. If you go over 10, 15, 20 minutes, proves that the system is over Unity and does what it says and completes itself. Okay, are they both connected? Okay. Do you want to switch both of them on at the same time? Okay. Now we switch on. What's the exact minute on your dial? We are on both systems. Can you switch on? There we are. At 1:22 Tehran time, 1:24 Tehran time. There is no hidden system to it. We expect to be here for an hour. Everything is monitored. This is how Keshe Foundation did all its work. Live with everything we've done before that you can see it. And 30% reduction, 50% reduction will bring a lot of things on. Okay, can you open the fridge doors to show the fridges are open and working, please? And the other fridge. As you see, these are brand new fridges that even the certificate's still inside them. Klaus, can you change? Sorry, Rick, can you change to the other camera?
Yeah, it should be changed there now. You remove the other spotlight.
Yeah. We need that to come on. That's it. So we leave it on every now and then. we get somebody walking in front of it to show you it's not a frozen picture, that we take any ambiguity out of the, what do you call it, equation. Don't forget, we wait for the buzzing noise from the inverters. In a way, is as we call it, the last bell. Let's see when it rings, and then we are in it. Everything is exactly the same. And don't forget, we are connected to a battery power supply, and we will change to what we call a household supply, which will be much more powerful extension of the nano materials within the wires and everything else will bring it. And it shows how our dear knowledge seekers could not get it right for 5 years. The proof of the pudding is in eating it, and the pudding is on the table. We see how much we can eat of this pudding. And as I said, 5 minutes, we allow for any discharges or charges or compressors coming in different sequence. 10 minutes, we're past the tolerance. And if you go to 20, 25 minutes, then we see the overpower unity, and we cover ourselves with what it is. And this is the units you're going to receive. This is what it'll be for many of us as a breakthrough in technology. Then we go to the most important part of the presentation of the today. This is in a way all the history. We show how wrong you've been for past 5 years. If we show we are correct, then the next step, we show you the production of the gases in a nanoatomic structure, breaks the taboo with production of gases in the space. And then we see how we change and how the negotiations in Iran with respect to Atomic Energy Authorities, IAEA, has to change. Or Iran becomes part of the nuclear nations plus another 189 nations, because now we all have access to atomic hydrogen. The key to changing atomic hydrogen to ignition time, plasma time, is H3, where we produce radiation level hydrogen, which is tritium. And that is what, again, is in a patent published over 17 years ago, and nobody up to now has managed to decode it. You have the hydrogen as a plasma ignition. You have H3 as the, what we call, trigger ignition system. You have to realize that to produce atomic hydrogen has cost Americans trillions. They have spent billions and billions, and the machinery and the system costs millions to produce it. It's so secret nobody can make it. Keshe Foundation does it with 10-cent pop, as we call it. We have passed the production of atomic hydrogen, stop spending billions to a few dollars. And the next step is conversion of the plasma into useful plasma. CERN has been dreaming to do it for years. Now you see the Keshe Foundation will burn it for nothing. And this is a change of the game. And this is, if we connect the electric energy with the plasma technology, we get what we have on this planet. We have gravity, magnetic field, which the plasma gave us. We have thunderstorms and lightning, which comes from the interaction of the matter state charged plasma. So in a way, we have replicated the whole cycle of creation on this planet. Once we can do this, we can support life in the space as part of the Keshe Foundation space program. I have a message for His Eminence Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran online and the Iranian leadership. His Eminence Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran opened the doors of Natanz nuclear power stations and refining as they are obsolete. With what we show today, Natanz will be a good dinosaur historical building where the same way we can prefer with a few cents all the uranium and plutonium that Iran needs for its power stations. What we say, The whole purpose is that Iran and Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran and the leaders of Iran have no choice but to open the doors of Natanz and the rest of Iran nuclear preparation open, as they're only fighting to produce 20% pure nuclear material. What you see here, we show you can produce 100% pure uranium, plutonium at any grade as you wish. And it can be done in a small lab. You don't need billions of dollars and getting many of our scientists killed for a nonsense nuclear weapon technology. If we can separate what we call atomic hydrogen so easily, we can do easier with uranium and plutonium for 100% purification. In the reports which I delivered to IAEA in January, which opened the hand of the State of Israel to say that Iran has a nuclear bomb and they use the Keshe Foundation reactor as it, comes to be a completion. And as I said in that report to His Excellency, what we call President of the United States, Iran has access to 100% purification. Why are we fighting for 20? And secondly, Americans and the Chinese, if they want to access such a technology of the space development, they have to go the same way. And this is what we're fighting for. Why we put a nation on the sanction when a nation is head of everybody else in technology. As I said, I'll travel back to Tehran in a rapid state to bring the space technology of Iran, now that the Keshe Foundation space company is registered in Tehran, to show we can produce any grade up to 100% pure hydrogen, 100% uranium and plutonium for space technology, not for weapon technology. And as I said, we've been negotiating with the Iranian leadership for the past 2 years. Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran, the step down from nuclear development as is obsolete. Can you please don't go there? Don't touch anything, please. Hello, can you just don't touch anything? You don't need to measure anything. The charts are there and they will go. So we understand that the purpose of today's presentation is end of nuclear sanctions and emergence of a new technology by the Keshe Foundation and from Iran. We could do this here from Austria and show it from Austria first, but it goes back to its motherland where it came and where it will show. You sit there, we told you you didn't get your technology the right way. Now you see the technologies was the right way. You could not understand it. And actually we can use this technology to speed up the production of atomic hydrogen. We produce plutonium from the source, which is from the fields. We do not need plutonium to be preferred. As I said, as we don't need refineries to produce a specific kind of fuel and oil, now we do not need nuclear processing, higher speed, 30,000 RPM, what we call centrifuge to create. We can do it with a flick of finger with less than a couple of $100. And Iran, as I said in my report to IAEA in January, has access to 100% purification, pure plutonium, if that is the fear of the American government. I have a very bad news for the State of Israel and Prime Minister of Israel. You are checkmated. Beyond checkmate. You killed many of our scientists and you're on a warning list. So step down from killing our scientists and join us in development of the technology. The Israeli scientists and Iranians and Americans can take man to the depth of the space much faster than killing each other on the threat of nuclear proliferation. If need be, in the next few weeks, we'll demonstrate at the present, with the presence of heads of IAEA in Vienna, the protection of the plutonium and uranium in their offices, that they can see we need 100% pure nuclear material if we are going to travel the depth of the universe. You have 99% and 1% of different material, as I said, you end up on Mars instead of ending on Moon. You carry half of your organs because the other half organ was not transferred due to the radioactive materials which is inside your body. So we had to develop the radiation field like your thalamus and thymus that we can transfer you when you transfer and transform into the matter state in another position in the universe. Radiations for that space and time is available for conversion of what we call transmutation. Now you understand what this technology stands for and why we need to understand and develop the nuclear side. If I cannot replicate the work of your thalamus and thymus, and where by use of the radioactive materials, you call it B6, B9, B12 vitamins, then how can I transfer you from one position to another? Will land with no kidneys, or you'll have no brain because we didn't develop, we didn't deliver the what we call radioactive material side. Now you understand why we had to bring the process of centralization in the patent 15 years ago, 17 years ago. The proof of the pudding is in eating it, and the pudding is cooking up at the moment in Tehran. What's the time? It's 1:38. We started 1:18. We are now around about 20 minutes into the testing. Keshe Foundation accept orders already on this enhancement unit. And once we show the delivery of the generator, we replace it. But till then, you can cut on your electricity bills 30, 40, 50%. And if anybody tells you it's a gimmick, now you see it because it's live there. You see the guy moving around. There's now the what we call frozen picture. The pictures comes from Tehran laboratory and manufacturing building of the Keshe Foundation. And many of the things which you will see will come through this research center. We think we have another 30, 40 minutes on the left side, and we have about another hour, an hour and 20 minutes on the Keshe Foundation side. But we'll see as it goes. It's a silent movie, but it speaks a lot. Any questions while we are waiting? Rick, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm just checking. There is a hand up from Dirk.
Yeah.
Dirk, could you go ahead, please?
Can you hear me?
We can't hear you. You got to speak louder.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Cash. No, it's not a question. You could use a venti to bring air to the flag so that everybody can see that it's not a frozen picture. Just a suggestion.
Oh, we could do that. It's another job. یوسف جان چیزی که میگم میشه یه فنی چیز داری بذاری پشت فلگ کش فاندیشن که تکون بخوره که نشون نده که فقط فروزن پیکچر فقط عکس نیست. Anyway, the clock arm, proof of it. The clock arm is moving. Don't touch anything. It's just if you can make the اگه میشه یه فنی چیز داری بذاری پشت پرچم کش فاندیشن که همش تکون بخوره.
الان داره تکون میخوره. پرچم کش فاندیشن منظورتون بالای یخچاله؟
نه اونوری بزرگه.
بزرگه
همش کدوم تکون نمیخورم، ما چیز
نه
نمیدیم
تکون میخورن. اگر من ویدیو رو به من بدید باد کولر بهشون میخوره، ولی تو تصویر دیده نمیشه.
ها یه چیزی بزرگتر تکون بده.
خب اینو مستقیم بزنید به این سمت، این دریچه رو.
هیچ چیز نکنین، جایی نزنین، دست به هیچی نزنین. و اگه
نه
از پشت
نه
میتونین یه سشواری
یه
چیزی
باد
بهش
بهش. برای
هیچ
چیه؟
اگر نشون مهم نیست، میگن که میخوان نشون بدن که عکس چیز نیست، عکس نیست، ویدیوه، اشکال نداره. Are there any other questions?
Yes, from John Wells here has a hand up. Go ahead, John.
Yes, wasn't it the idea to have the fridges open so they would consume more
No,
rapidly?
it's very hot in Tehran. We tried
fine.
that on Sunday. You're talking about 40 degrees and the rest of it. You don't leave your fridge door open at home all the time, do you?
No, never.
So we're replicating a normal, natural sequence of events.
In fact, my fridge burnt out 5 years ago, and I don't use a fridge. If you consume any meat, you keep it in plasma water and it won't deteriorate.
Can you open both fridges to see that they're in a working condition, please, Yusuf Jan? Hello, Yusuf? We see, okay, you can close it. And the other one? Thank you very much. You can close it. Something very funny. I was explaining to a diplomat very recently, and it has a lot of meaning if you understand it. In the world of terrorism and anarchy, terrorists are masked not to be recognized. In Iran, we have to mask our scientists not to be killed and terrorized. And this is the difference. And this is where the whole thing with the media has gone crazy upside down. Dean wants to ask a question. He's only 2 centimeters away from me.
Thank you, Mr. Kesh. So my question to you would be: is this system complete? Is this a fully working, finished system? Would it need
In
to
the
be
box,
developed more?
yes. In
So-
the box, yes. But we are developing it more for what we call as a generator.
Okay.
The system in the box will be delivered in next couple of weeks as a first batch out around the world. And it's a working system.
And the box itself, is this likely that this physical size has to stay?
More or less, yeah.
That's
More or
not going to
less.
change.
That's
Okay.
going to be the same. I'm more interested in the box, which is 90 degrees from this box,
Okay.
which is on the other side. We had a preview of it. In about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, we come to half an hour of the use by both sides, both units.
Is the box designed to be used with the battery and inverter system?
No. If we do the mobile one, we supply without a battery. It's on the website. It tells you, because to ship batteries across the world is very difficult. It's impossibilities with all the registration and regulations. So if you take it for a mobile unit and you want to connect it to a battery, you can do so. Or you can use it directly on the what you call plug and play. It's a direct plug and play, like the way we did the magravs. And it's here we had to put an inverter because on the battery we only have a DC, no AC. We have to convert it to AC. for the light bulbs. If you look at the light bulbs, there are two different light bulbs. There's an old one, which is the filament one, which is 200 watt. And then we have a saving lights, which is the 15 watt. And then you have the inverters, they use about 120 watt of energy. And the fridges go up to 160 watt of energy. And on a standby, they use, I think, just about 60 watts. But when the, what you call, compressor comes into operation, for the time of the use, you go up to 200, 220 watts for a period of time, and then you drop to about 180, 160. And the two fridges switch on at the same time, so they go through the same process at the same time. Yusuf John, can you open the fridges and show us the ice box if you see any ices yet or any ice, what we call drops?
اوکی.
یخچال رو باز کنی نشون بده اگه چی یخ بسته.
دسترسی به دوربین بدید.
دوربین تو باز کن، همون دوربین قبلی که داشتی نشون میدادی دورو بردار خودت برو تو شیر. Can you just wait, صبر کن، یک دقیقه صبر کن. Rick, can you change it to the other camera, please? Yeah, okay. میشه یخچال رو نشون بدی؟
یخچال.
Do we have any ice on it yet? Do we see? Is it cold?
فقط یه مقدار لایه نازک اگه ببینید.
This is
تازه
very
یخچال زده.
just around half an hour. You have a small thin ice layer. میشه اون یکی رو نشون بدی؟
بله.
This ice.
چیزی رو میتونید ببینید.
Very thin layer of ice building up on the frozen box. You see the scratches there. So both systems are in working condition. خیلی ممنون. خاموش کن که دوربین تو ببند که چیز دیگه نشون نده. مرسی. Can we switch to the other camera, the other camera, fixed camera, please? Thank you. We passed nearly 22, 23 minutes.
You have a hand up here, Mr. Cash. Are you ready for another question?
Yep.
Okay, so Sade, would you like to go ahead next, please?
Or is it by mistake?
He opened the microphone, but we couldn't hear you, Sade.
Oh, he's Iranian. سلام عرض می‌کنم.
من روزاتی هستم. کشه. یه سوال داشتم. ما تا اینجاشو فهمیدم. شاید شرح دادین به زبان انگلیسی ما نفهمیدیم. این باتری چگونه شارژ میشه؟ تا اینجا این قسمت ها رو فهمیدم. این باتری ها چگونه شارژ میشه؟
مرسی، خیلی ممنون. الان بهتون جوابش رو انگلیسی میدم بعد ترجمه میکنم. What is asking is that how, خیلی متشکرم. How are these batteries getting charged? We are not charging the batteries. We are just running a normal condition. None of the batteries is getting charged, but once we go into the production and we pass the time, if we go, let's say, for 20 minutes, half an hour extra, if we spend the first 10 minutes or 15 minutes to charge another battery, so, and then carry on using the power at the same time, then we charge a second battery to run after this battery is emptied. So we can switch what they call a ping pong charging. And this is what will be perfect for cars like Tesla. If Tesla cars are divided the battery in two halves, while one half is running, is charging the other half and then reversing back to, and becomes independent. Then you don't need to charge the batteries, or in a factor of work. And now with one charge, you get 1,000 kilometers out of a Tesla car. Then you get 2, 3, 4,000 kilometers out of the same charge. This is the difference. فرقش اینه که translate in فارسی.
این صداش در اومد. بیپش در اومد.
Okay, we stop. What's the time exactly? It's 1:53. The left side has switched off. میشه یخچال باز کنی. Now the system, can you open the left side? The buzzer of the, what we call, the system has gone. میشه در باز کنی. You can see the fridge is shut down at 1:53. Okay. یوسف جان در اونو ببند. You can hear the buzzer of the inverter going. We have to switch off, otherwise it gets damaged, overheated, and it damages what you call the inverter. بهش 5 دقیقه وقت بده تا موقع چراغ فقط فیلمنت رو ببینیم.
الان در حال حاضر به همون شکل هست، یعنی خیلی ضعیف
میشه عکس‌ها از
اون رو هم جان
خب خاموش کن. خاموش کن. خاموشش کن تو. We are switching the inverter totally because it can get damaged.
روی بیپ میزنیم.
بله؟
سمت راست رو هم همراه بیپ که زد قطعش میکنیم.
باش. Now we switched off the left. This is what your battery will do. From 118 to 153. How much is it? 35 minutes? We got on the left-hand side. When the right side bleeps, we stop the same. میشه در یخچال طرف راست رو باز کنی لطفاً یوسف جان؟ We see the light is still going on. ببند در یخچال. مرسی.
ولتاژ باتری رو میتونم بگیرم هر دو تا رو؟
نه. دست نزن. They're asking if we can show the voltage on the batteries. I said, no, don't touch anything. Then there is no ambiguity. We haven't touched any of the two. If we go to 2 o'clock Tehran time, then we pass that 10%, 15% of 35 minutes. There is no better way than showing it so live. I remember we trying to show you how to do magravs in Ballet, 2018, 17. And he just needs to know how to set the thing up. And this is important. Why we push with this one is that in the West, with the reduction in gas production and electricity bill charges, is not that you're saving energy, is that the nation needs less gas to produce the same electricity amount to supply to the rest of the nation. What's going to happen? We saw it in the 1970s, and we saw it another time later on, that the government literally puts the factories on 5 days work to 3, to 2. and it becomes impossible to run economy of a nation because of the power supplies. We see in Germany, they're talking about the traffic lights being switched off, sports centers being limited, and the rest of it. If the German government takes the steps and understand what we're doing and bring the technology rapidly into Germany, France, and Italy, you don't need any of it. Now we are at about 2 o'clock, which means we passed any other factor, 15% tolerance of if something doesn't work or whatever. But we still can add it onto the other side, see how much more we done. If we reach 210, in a way, it'll be another 17 minutes on top of the 35 is 50% efficiency.
Mr. Guest, there's a question in the YouTube from 777 Palena. When you say 30% savings, is that for the whole house or just the fridge or other appliances plugged into the power strip?
It's for the whole house. The fridge here is just representation of the load. Because if you use 1 kilowatt at home, you save 30% of the 1 kilowatt. If you use 5 kilowatts, you save 30% of 5 kilowatt. If you use 10 kilowatt, you still save 3 kilowatt. These are not power supply, they're enhanced units, which means in whatever you use, they enhance the usage. And if you run this over a year in the house, you go up to factors of much, much bigger, 50, 60, 70%. Because then the energy comes from the absorption from the wires in the house, and even the systems adjust to plasma usage, and then we see the voltage drop. When your voltage usage drops, you use less, consume less, and we'll see the next step. Can we have a clearer picture of the clock? We are too far. Can you sort the pictures by any chance? Rick, is that in your hand?
Yeah, I think it's just the signal from
failure
from the camera is not a very high quality signal somehow.
Yeah. Anyway, we wait, we sit, and we already passed about 8-9 minutes from the time when the other one. We expect this to run about 210 in that region to buzz, and we switch off and see if it goes bigger, much more to 20 minutes past, which brings it to 1 hour. We announced that we create 30 to 50% saving on the energy, and you can see it. We already are 20% at 7 minutes, at 35 minutes. Every 3.5 minutes, according to what we have here, is 10%.
Mark had asked in the Q&A, would we replicate this test for our local, state, and federal officials to demonstrate the technology if they can't appear personally in Linz?
Yes. We set it up here. You can they can send their ambassadors, their representative to be live when it gets tested. Every nation has an embassy in Iran. You're welcome to go to the Tehran lab and check it yourself. جوابتون رو دادم. گفتم که تو این به خاطر اینکه دستگاه زنده است، هیچ دو طرف رو چارج نمی‌کنیم که نشون بده حقیقتاً چقدر طول می‌کشه. چون چارجرها خیلی برق استفاده می‌کنن و احتیاج داریم. اگه چارجر رو بذاریم بیشتر از 10-20 دقیقه کار نمی‌کنه دستگاه‌ها مال طرف چپ. این یه طبیعی. برای همین چارجر روش نیست.
یعنی این شارژ از طریق دستگاه‌های از طریق دستگاهایی که قبلا تعلیم دادین شارژ میشه اینها؟
نه هیچی چارج نمیشه، هیچی چارج نیست، چارجری روش نیست، طبیعیه همینی که هست. He's insisting on that. Explain to him in Farsi what is it charging, and I'm trying to explain to him it's not getting charged. It is as it is, its natural way. He did not hear the response.
بله متشکرم.
خیلی متشکرم.
What would you say to the question in the Q&A, Mr. Kesh, about it's in Portuguese. It's a suggestion if the KF generator or converter box could be open so they could see what's inside, that there's no battery connected in parallel.
No way. There is nothing in that box. This is the crooked way of thinking. You receive the box to see if there's a battery in it. And it's so small, you can't put a battery in it anyway. When you send your ambassadors to see it in Tehran, they can open the box and tell you.
Yeah, remind our attendees here, which there are 100 or so. Sorry, go ahead.
So, Mr. Kesh, Rick, I'm going to ask Mr. Kesh a question. So, Mr. Kesh, the system is AC. Will it work the same in DC? If this is...
The system is a DC and AC because we have you can use it, it's a plasma. You can use an AC or a DC, it doesn't know the difference. The same box works in America on 110 or in Europe 220. We don't need to put a converter on it. It's a plasma system. So that doesn't make any difference. Or works the same on both.
Thank you, Mr. Kesh.
But we can use, there's a knowledge that we can convert the DC to AC directly in plasma technology. We already use it, part of our work. What's the time now? Can somebody read it? یوسف جان میشه بگی ساعت چنده؟
اینجا 2:06 است.
2:05
دقیقه.
2 hours and 5 minutes. 2 o'clock is 2:05. We already passed 12 minutes out of the 35. We expect it to go around about 2:10, 2:15, and then we see it. At 12 minutes over the 35, we already passed nearly 30%.
It's Dean again, Mr. Kesh. So just to clarify, a question would be, will it still produce this 30 to 40% savings on the DC system?
Yes.
Would it be exactly the same? So it's a plasmatic condition and it makes no difference?
Yep, that's exactly what it does.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kesh. Mr. Kesh, it's Dean again. So the field interactions within the system, are they interacting? Is there a sphere of interaction around the actual box itself, or is it just contained within an electron vibration?
No, it's around the box. These boxes will be changed into feeding stations and what we call wellness centers.
So there's huge implications for this.
Yeah,
for this
there
box.
will be. We can deliver. This knowledge at the moment is used in the flight system. It's literally what you see here in this video. If you come to lens, is used in the system, but it's hidden. We don't show it how, but it's primarily is part of it. But our system here is totally DC.
It's DC.
It's a DC system, but it generates its own AC as an inherent way. When the plasma changes to matter state, it becomes AC. You can't stop. It's a natural evolution.
We have a question from Jefferson in the YouTube. Says, hello, Mr. Kesh, Rick, and everyone. Very powerful system. Is there any difference in performance during the daytime and nighttime due to ultraviolet rays and infrared rays or radiations or that kind of thing?
It shouldn't be. It is very, very minimal. We have technology, we especially didn't put it here, that can increase the power of the system and usage of battery will add, I think, about 15 to 20% to the time. We have already, we've taken it off that we don't have anything separate. It's a technology which we have. He was on the, when we showed the system to the American last week, we had it on. And that gives us about 10, 20% extra time. There's an additional unit which adds to the whole circuit. There is another additional system which we can another 10 to 20%, but again, that will be addition to the circuit. We're just showing a direct transfer plasma system without boosters or anything else or charging again. Now we are at about 208 or 210, if I'm correct. What's the time, Yusuf Jan?
اینجا 2:10 دقیقه است تقریبا.
Is 2:10. So we passed the 17 minutes from 35. We're already in 50% markup.
50% رو رد کردیم الان.
Got it. We already shown that the system works additional 50% from 35, which the other one came up. We expect the system to shut off any time from now on. میشه در یخچال رو باز کنید دوباره؟ I ask if they can open the fridge.
بله.
We can see the light is still bright. میشه اون یکی یخچال هم نشون بدی؟ There. We can leave that open. بذار باز بمونه یوسف جان. We have had in some tests nearly over an hour extension, 2 hours extension, but we set it up at a factor of 50 and we see how far we go. When the minute the buzzer buzzes for the inverter, which means it's not producing any more AC power to run the fridge as a load, immediately the light comes off as well at the same time. If you spend 4,000 or 3,000 a year on electricity with the cooling and system and the heating in the winter, you save yourself 50% of the bill. This is the beauty of the technology we've shown up to now with a 129, with shutting off the system at will, and all the enhancement units and everything else now. We've shown the technology, but now this is needed to be done with what is coming to the government. And the beauty with this is when you put these in a cluster, let's say out of 50 houses, you put it in 20 of them, the other 30 will receive the reduction. So we can make communities out of this. And you can literally cut the whole structure in a village, in a town. And then you become another generator. You become supplier to the nation. You save your own nation billions and millions of dollars.
Question from Joel, Mr. Kesh in the Q&A. So in a house, we must therefore put the plasma unit at the output of the electricity meter?
Anywhere. You can connect it anywhere. The new generation, which will come out, it's the one which is the mobile. With that one, you don't need even the refrigerator. The next generation is already good in Walktown. You don't need a fridge. You can take it to a desert and still do the same with it. There's a question coming up from Dean again. Dean and Herbert are here. They're chit-chatting. What's the next question?
Thank you, Mr. Kesh. So the next question would be, so this system is based on the one phase. What about three phase? Will it still benefit?
Yes, you put one on each phase. We did this in United Arab Emirates, in Abu Dhabi, 4 or 5 years ago when we were in Dubai, and we put it on one phase. The school, if I was in the teaching, we have announced it. The school, I think you used to remember, had $115,000 a month electricity bill, and putting it on one phase came down to 80.
Wow.
So we can do on 3 phases, and you see this depends what load is on which phase. You depends how they spread the load in it. If you put this in a factory using megawatts of energy, you see the difference. This is where it comes.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Kesh.
Yusuf Chan, what's the time, please?
دو 16 دقیقه.
It's 2:16. In 2 minutes, it's exactly 1 hour. We started the process at 35 minutes. What do you call it? The other system without the plasma unit was stopped. Always said, we show the beauty of this technology coming out of Tehran. And now you see it, and you'll see another magnificent part of the technology when we show the gases. What I ask you to do is take this video when it's completed, when it goes online, and get your ministers, cabinet ministers, prime ministers, your mayors to sit and watch it. And then they understand what is there and what is the difference. Don't waste one day, I do it. Today, members of Universal Council support team and all the Kesh Foundation activists which are in the background, send this link to your government, send these people to your electricity board, send this bill to your pensioners who the electricity cuts big part of their what they call expenses. We are now about 1 hour. We passed 35 minutes. So if we go to 2:28, we have literally doubled the time, which is actually past what you call unity and over unity. We're at just exactly 1 hour since we started. We promised and we sold these units between 30 to 50% efficiency. We are now 75%, roughly. Better? We are 1 hour exactly. We stopped at 1:53. Am I correct, Rick? So in 7 minutes, in 5 minutes, there are about 30 minutes which we passed. Pardon?
I believe that was correct.
I think we are 100% over time.
No, we stopped at 35 minutes. So we have to go to 70 minutes to be 100%. Back to school. Now we are 100% from the time we started. But the other system did not stop in half an hour, stopped in 35 minutes. So you have to double it at 70 minutes. That is 100% away. We got a few minutes. We passed, 10 minutes past, we were what we said, 30 to 50%. Now we see and how far we can go. یوسف جان میشه در یخچال رو دوباره باز کنی نشون بدی؟ I've asked Yusuf if he can open the fridge that we can see.
بله.
If you look, that flag of the Keshe Foundation on top of the fridge is moving, so it's a live presentation. میشه فریزر ببینی حالش چطوره؟ I've asked him to check the freezer. Is it frozen?
آره تا حدودی یخ زده.
میشه نشون بدی، فقط خودت آزمایش نکن. اینا خدا رو هم ببینن قبول ندارن.
خب اگه تصویر بگیرید.
نه فقط همونجوری خودت نشون بده. ببین دست میتونی نشون بدی یخ رو تو زیر دستت زیر انگشتات.
الان بسیار خوب.
لازم نیست. Rick, do you want to change over to the freeze to the other picture? Just یه دقیقه صبر. There he is. You see the ice building up. So the fridge is in a working condition. Merci, Yusuf. Can we go back to the other camera, please? Yusuf, تکون نخور. همین چیو داری نشون میدی. Can we go back? Merci.
Mr. Keshe is Dean again. So could we put a glass of water in there just to see if something had happened next time, maybe? In the freezer?
No, we are not doing anything. We just leave it as it is. It's in the freezer, the ice is there.
Okay.
Do you want to bring a piece of meat to freeze to see if it's frozen? No. With the Americans, they wanted the thermometer temperature inside. And the temperature goes to, if I remember, -2. We put the thermometer inside to check. یوسف جان یادت چقدر رفت پایین یخچال؟ -2 بود نه؟
بله تا -2 پایین رفته بود در حالی که یخچال که بدون مگرف بود 6 بود. 5.5 6 بود دمش.
Something Yusuf just reminded me. The Maghraf system went to -2 because of the plasma condition. The other one was around about 5 or 6 degrees. in that period of time. It took longer. So plasma was interacting more. And if you look, both, we can show you this because we had to do this before. Both fridges, the freezer box is set on maximum. میشه نشون بدی لطفاً هم مال اینا هم مال اون یکی که فریزر رو ماکسیمومه. یک دقیقه صبر کن. Can you change the camera please to the handheld one? اوکی. میشه چیز کنی؟ نشون بدی که دو تاشون در ماکسیمومن؟
بله بله. ببینید این روی 3 هست اگه میتونید ببینید.
خب حالا اون یکی هم نشون بده. دست نزن.
این هم روی 3 هست.
They're both on 3. مرسی. تمام کارخونه رو داری نشون میدی. بس دوربین تو بگیر رو زمین.
تصویر اون دوربین رو دارید؟
بله بله. Can you change please? Can you change the presentation? ساعت چقدر الان؟
الان ساعت 2:25 دقیقه است.
It's 2:25.
Speaking of temperature, there was a question from Marius about, is the power system heating or is the temperature stable? And wondering if you can do some temperature measurements for the system.
What do you mean by that?
I think he means like the box itself, and whether it would be cooling or heating from coming from that box.
What do you mean? Though there is no temperature, there is zero. It's a room ambient. It's not a generator. The box doesn't heat up. We don't have a generator in it. We have no reason to create heat or energy in that box.
Okay. Lucio from the Italian Knowledge Seekers asks, are there 2 magravs? And inside the magrav, did you use GANs of tritium, deuterium, and hydrogen?
Good morning. We left it to you to do it for 5 years. We are not answering you now.
He also wondered if the ping pong balls must be nano-coated or not in the core of the magrav.
These things don't exist in them.
Okay, well, that's a bit of a clue then for those who are wondering.
Yes, it is what it is and the way it is. The whole target is the freestanding generator. We started at 118. We are nearly approaching 228, which means we passed the double 100% time.
Joseph had a question. Is the process a slow conditioning of the battery so that with every test run, the battery is able to deliver more?
No, it doesn't work that way. When we drain the battery, batteries go exactly to the same. They go to around about 10.3, 10.4.
You could switch the batteries and it wouldn't matter, basically.
No, that's irrelevant. What is it now? Is it 228? Yes, sir. Saat chande.
ساعت اینجا 28 دقیقه است. 2 دقیقه به
And now it's 228, so we gone 100% over. So it's is double the time, which means totally different. This knowledge at the present world of science doesn't exist. It's impossibilities. If you bring any factors into it to double the time, this knowledge, according to the present world of physics, is a magician, is a magic. But many of you have built the system, many of you have tested the system.
So Marius comments, as far as I understand, it seems like the system has a longer period of functionality than the previous tests. Is it possible then in the future, we can see even more extended periods of system functionality?
The next generation is a generator, which you are independent of the, what you call the battery. You don't need to wait for the system to shut down. It continuously is a perpetual system. یوسف جان میشه جعبه رو از نزدیک بلند کنی که نشون بدی به هیچی وصل نیست؟ What I've asked Yusuf to do is to show the box. بله؟
بله چشم.
What we do, because this is what the Americans wanted to see if we connected the box to anything. And when you lift the box, you see this, where it shows doesn't carry any battery with it and so on. Push, از پشت. نه از پشتش بریم. الان جلوشی نمیبینیم.
الان تصویر داریم؟
بله. Can you lift the box? You can see it's not connected to anything.
فقط خروجیشه که وصل میشه به اون
This is
پاور
the
ماجور.
exit goes to the junction box.
If it had a battery, it wouldn't be so easy to lift as well.
No. Can you go back to the main picture, please? We have broken every rule in the world of physics and science and electricity and generation of electricity.
Question from YouTube. Sorry, go ahead.
Carry on.
A question from YouTube. What load, from Ivan, what load can the system withstand?
Oh, how many kilowatts do you want to do? In a test in China, we estimated about, depending on the usage and how much you can take, it can go to anything, 10 kilowatts. Merci, Yusuf John. There's another question comes from the Geo team. Yep.
So the question is this time, the inverter, is it before or after the unit? Is it in between? So where does
No,
the inverter
the inverter comes from the battery, inverts it, then it goes into the box. We have to invert it before. That's why the inverter is a battery inverter, the box, and then the plug, which you use it.
چرا؟
بله؟
صدا کردید؟
نه. There's another question coming.
So, Mr. Kesh, would it work the other way around?
What?
The inverter, if you put the inverter the other side of the system, would it work?
It doesn't matter where you put it. It inverts anywhere. It's irrelevant where you put your inverter. Now, if you look at it, we got 120, which is for the inverter. We go average 200 for the fridge when it's switched on and off. That's 320. We got a 200 watt amp on the table. That's 520. And we have 2 lamps of 15. That's half a kilowatt plus load on the system. As I said, this is a beautiful starter for the main course to come, which is the production of gas. It's the first time we show conversion. from fields of the plasma into matter state of gas.
There's a hypothetical question of what would happen if another unit was added. Does the efficiency increase?
In a way, it should do, but not by such a factor because you're already in the cycle. You're already converting.
It's funny, the clock becomes quite visible every once in a while.
Yeah, the thing is that now we are at 2:35. We passed 40 minutes. You see the flag flowing as well. Now we see the air moving the flags. So it's a live presentation. When we release the generator will be totally different package.
Thinking if you had a DC, one of those small mobile DC fans attached to each of the batteries, that could be an interesting addition to
We can add a lot of
indicate
for it.
Would indicate some movement for people that need to see more movement in the
Add
picture.
anything. You can never satisfy a man.
No.
Huh?
No, but humans like to see
making
movement though. Yeah.
What?
Humans like to see movement. That's the thing, I guess.
Oh, the fridge is a good movement. Oh, we painted the lights very nicely to show bright. If we go another 15 minutes, we have passed by 1 hour, the 35 minutes, which becomes more like 200% efficient.
Would that set a new record for your testing, or have you gone?
No, what's the longest we gone for, Yusuf? What's the longest time you had the unit on? چقدر بیشتر کرده بوده که باتری کار کرده؟ 2 ساعت؟
تو 3 ساعت 40 دقیقه. البته بستگی به شرایط آب و هوا یه مقدار داره. اینجا الان خیلی خیلی گرمه. الان اوج قله گرماست. اینجا توی منطقه‌ای که هستیم خیلی خیلی گرمه. برای این تاثیر میذاره تو اتلاف انرژی. اینورتر گرم کار میکنه، بنابراین نتیجه کمتر میشه.
What Yusuf says, we are in one of the hottest period of the year and in one of the hottest part of Iran, Tehran. And the fridge is working overtime. The same with the other side. That's why they use continuously to keep the temperature because it's a bomb.
یه چیز خیلی مهمی هم که هست، ما اینجا فهمیدیم این رو، اینه که ما تمام مدار شبکه‌ای که تو این استفاده میکنیم بعد از هر بار استفاده تقویت میشه، هر بار پلازمایی تر میشه. این اتفاق براش میفته که بهتر کار میکنه. یعنی از یوروپ شروع کردیم، از یوروپ نیم ساعت شروع کردیم، رفتیم تا 4 ساعت تا ساعت زیاد. یعنی هر چی سیم ها، وایر ها، پاور ماژول و چیزایی که توی شبکه هست پلازمایی بشه، بنابراین نتیجه خیلی بهتر میشه.
This is Yusuf, what he's saying is what we said before, that if you add this to the house, the longer you use it, the more efficient the system becomes. They say that the more we test this system, the more we create a nano coating and the plasma in the circuit, the longer we last. So absorbs more energy from the environment, and in a way, so if we go 1 hour extra, we will have, with the addition, we can add another 20 minutes, 40 minutes with additional units we can add to it. But it's not here. We deliberately not put it in. We are now, about 30 minutes? Well, we are 8 minutes, 30 minutes away from doubling the time, actually not doubling, passing the time when the other system shut down. You don't need a fan. The flag of Keshe Foundation is moving on the side of where the unit is used. It's very amazing. The side where our flag is, the Keshe Foundation flag, you see it moving. The side which the system is switched off, the flag is hardly. So we're still flying. This is a very powerful statement. Those of you who understand power generation, you understand the plasma technology, this literally kills every discussion, every doubt in the performance of the technology. As I said, this is the starter. Wait for the main course on the other table to come on. That will burn a lot of doubts we had in power plants transmissions. We're just warming you up for the main course. And don't ask us to open the box to show you what's in the other box. No way.
Mr. Kesh, on a human side, I always remember in the UK, pensioners would be sat around in their homes and
with blankets.
With blankets, yeah.
I know. I lived there 30 years.
And they would literally the electric fire in front of them. Yeah. They would turn it off because they couldn't afford electricity, and so they would sit there shivering for a long time. So brings back a beautiful thought in the possibilities for humanity, how this is going to change many things, many aspects.
In a way, yes. Just before we come online, one of our knowledge seekers, some of you know him very well. He has connection. He understands multiple tenancy with 500,000 houses, that kind of thing. And he says for these kind of people, which they pay the electricity bill, the landlord, the owners pay, saves tens, hundreds of thousands a year by initial position. So you don't need to die of cold anymore because you can't afford to pay the bill. And when we saw the system in the next few days here in Linz, you will see you don't need to pay €1.30 for a liter of gas, where it actually costs less than 2 cents to produce. You will see it. In Tehran, we ask it deliberately for security reasons not to show much, but you will see it. If you can show, anybody can make gases out of nowhere, fresh air, we show it. It'll be done there. It's getting produced at the moment. It's topping up. And the system will be shown here in Austria. Then we can dance it. We put it on our head to show there is no connection to anywhere. It was important to show this technology from Tehran because it had to bring an end to a lot of things, especially with the hydrogen. Iran now have access to what we call nuclear plasma hydrogen bomb. I warned that to the Americans in January, and they thought it was a joke. Now they have to swallow it. We have one choice: to stop all the nonsense with nuclear preparation, because we need 100% purified nuclear materials to create radiation in space, to be able to rapidly transmute from one to another. When you eat all the time, like Eskimos, one fish, how does your body decide to change it into vitamin C, vitamin D? It's done by radiation in thalamus and thymus control, instantaneous, because it's a purified nuclear radiation. And we need it if you're going to go to space. It has a lot of application. If you have cancer, if you create a plasma radiation, you can change the cancer instantaneously because you change the environment. Now we can't do, you have to go for radiation therapy, you have to go for a God knows what, and you never know if you get it right. And we saw last week here, people who go into the enhancement unit, they can feel their organs, they know where the things are. So you can actually go inside and transfer the energy with yourself and change the cancer within seconds and come out of it. It has a lot of implication. It's a shame to see Iranian scientists in the mask not to be killed by Israelis and the Belgians. Actually, the terrorists are sitting in these countries. We are reaching nearly in 5 minutes to 1 hour over the other time. یوسف جان میشه با دوربین بری دور دوباره به چرخی نشون بدی به هیچ وصل نیست؟
بله چشم.
What I ask Yusuf to do is to go around the system to show that it's not connected to anything. And I think you even better lift the fridge to show the fridge is not connected from underneath either. خیلی یواش. همه بالا و پایین همه جاشو نشون بده که ask him to show everything that you can see. زیر زمین. There's nothing anywhere hidden to be a supply.
پرچمی هم که میخواستن باد بهش بخوره میتونم با دست تکونی بهش بدم.
نه داره تکون میخوره. میشه بالا رو هم نشون بدی؟ بالای میز چیزی نیست. That's the backgraph system. You're all used to it, but from Tehran production. Merci, Yusuf Jan. Can we go back to the other picture, please?
اون پرچمه
Cash Foundation. یوسف جان وقتی ساعت 2:53 شدی میشه به اون بگی؟
3 دقیقه دیگه میشه 2:53.
Please, as I said before, when this is finished, especially the second part, send it to the White House, send it to the Pentagon, let them see. Send a copy to your governments and military. And as we explained, let them listen to it. In a way, if you understand what is to come in the next part, is end of militarization, because now every nation has access to the most advanced weapon technology. Americans strive to have, and they spend billions on it. What did they do last time? They spent 50 million plus to make 105 Tesla. We spent a few thousand to make 129 Tesla. So it's the same process.
I had a question in YouTube from Mr. Henry. Is Putin's visit to Tehran going to involve discussions on the technology?
I don't know. But Wang Lin is here from the Chinese side of Cash Foundation in China. We were told by the officials when we were in China in a meeting, I think if Wang Lin can confirm it or tell you, that when the world leaders meet, Obama with President Xi, Cash Foundation is always discussed as what it is when it emerges. And national security people being present in the meeting, they told us that when the world leaders meet, they discuss when Cash will release his technology and bring everything to a halt. Now we're releasing it. Most probably done. You got to remember 14 years ago when I went to Iran, I was taken to this what they call the hotel, where I was kept for 3 weeks. And at that time, President Putin and me were the only people on the floor, literally 2 doors apart, with his securities and the rest. They would not put a scientist with one of the most powerful world leaders on one floor if he doesn't know who he is. That should answer you.
الان 2:53 هست.
Pardon?
الان 2:53 است. ساعت.
We arrived at 2 hours and 53. So 1 hour from the time the old system stopped, the other system stopped, is still going. You got to remember when you say discuss, 2 years ago, year and a half ago, nearly 2 years ago, when we went to Brazil for the Brazil conference, just before we come out, when the conference was finished, when we were asked to stay further, we were kept in the same hotel at the Indian leader, where all the hotels were evacuated of all people which are non-political or belong to the government. And we were told that by the instruction of President Xi, Keshe Foundation was cleared to stay, the whole team of Keshe Foundation, in the same rooms, in the same hotel. So they know who we are. This is now double the time of the other, triple the time very soon. You can imagine even at this point where we passed, we call triple the time of the usage compared to the other one. If the Western nations apply this technology rapidly, you need 1/3 less power stations in the West. There is no need for nuclear power stations. And we'll see to what extent this will go. Then you understand that the plasma technology will become a natural replacement for electric. Because when we go into the plasma knowledge, the cycle is there. Is my battery on my microphone charged enough, or do you need to change it?
پروفسور میخوایم ولتاژ باتری رو بگیرم تا ببینیم.
هیچ آن دست به هیچی نزنید.
چون ممکنه تا 1-2 ساعت دیگه بریم.
مهم نیست. قشنگیشه، قدرتشه. دست به هیچی نزنید. Yusuf asked, can I go and measure the voltage because we think it can go another 1 or 2 hours? I said, don't touch anything. The failure of the present science clearly, visibly shown on the left-hand side with the door of the fridge open. It's a new era for science, not for the Keshe Foundation. And how we adapt to it and how we develop it is the next step. Send this one to Moss at Tesla. And then when we show you the other parts, send that to him, tell him the space technology is obsolete too. Because you have to understand, when we burn the gases, we show you, we use it as a plasma, we create a massive gravitational system. We don't need to burn it. Burning is the old way. We show you first, and then we show you the new way, which is the lift, motion, and feed. You got to understand, once we develop this production of the hydrogen, then what is the eventuality of it? You eat sugar to get energy from the hydrogen. You eat food to convert to basic that everybody can use. Now you receive the plasma of the hydrogen. You change. Goodbye, chilo kebab, steaks, and chicken.
The big question from Nick in live stream, when will these units go for sale?
They're already for sale. Go to Keshe Foundation website. It's €5,000. It's not the cost of making it, the cost of research, development, and what it costs, it counts. It's not the equipment and parts. When you buy an Apple and you pay €800 for it, the whole machine costs less than $10. For over 20 years, I have supported the foundation in every shape or form with millions of dollars of cost. Now it has to go back that we can develop new technologies with it. as we speak, maybe less than 10 meters from us, they are installing the flight system units onto the, what you call, simulation system. Our people are here. We have never opened the door of the simulation unit, but from tomorrow, when we have new people here coming in, a bunch of Italians, our beloved member of the Universal Council, he is with us from Malta, and people will go through. We are preparing for transmutation of what we call energies plasmas. I think the statement, what we see, is a powerful statement in the technology of the Keshe Foundation. Go online and book and pay for units, because you're not paying for units for you to save. You're paying for advancement of technology, for the next steps for it to come in.
We have a hand up with Mashfaq here.
Yes, Mashfaq
Take
wants
a
to
question.
Yeah, I know.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Since this unit on the right is producing 3 times the energy, then of this 3, if one unit is fed back to the battery, then it becomes self-sufficient, doesn't it?
Yes, this is what I said from the beginning. This is the purpose of the production of generator. We have to be able to produce this to be able to do other things with it. You can put 4 batteries and charge 4 batteries instead of 1. And that's what Yusuf said. We can run into 2 to 3, 4 hours. In 20 minutes, we pass 2 hours testing. What about when we pass 3 hours? This was the purpose of the presentation of today, was to show when all the talk was done that the technology doesn't work, is I told you, just because you don't understand it, it doesn't mean that it doesn't work. Your ignorance does not justify the truth.
There are a couple of questions regarding solar panels, Mr. Keshe, whether the system can be used with solar panels in such a way that you are completely independent, even at nighttime or at cold seasons when you can't convert too much solar energy. That's from Marius.
We did this in Barletta. If you remember, Barletta Teaching Center was in the middle of a solar farm. And bless his soul, Fabio installed systems into the solar system. It became too efficient. The plasma was taking over the solar system. And the Italian, if I remember correctly, the Italian electricity board has a limitation on how much solar system can produce. And they had a problem, because in some occasions they produced more than what the plant was registered for, and they couldn't justify it. But then it interfered with the inverters, if I remember correctly, and we had then, just to complete that, we saw the death of Fabio in the hand of the Belgians. Fabio was doing a lot of little private works for research in the background that nobody knew, and they targeted in that point. He set up the systems inside the control, what do you call it, rooms of the Barletta, and showed the electricity can be produced much faster, much more from the solar systems. Yes, we can use it. this, what we've done now, we passed nearly 3 times, more or less, the standard energy production in the known world of physics. And we're still carrying on. Even if it stops now, we passed twice more than 2 times the life of the other side. We've broken every rule in the books of man in physics. As Simon Cowles usually says in his programs, this was not supposed to happen. It's beautiful to see the flag of the Keshe Foundation proving its technology, and hopefully very soon we fly from Tehran, from the space technology. My request goes again, Your Eminence Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran, stop Natanz production because it's a waste of time. And stop the suffering of the nation. We're at an absolute dinosaur age of technology because the Americans did it and they purified plutonium or uranium. We don't need to do it because we got a much better technology, cheaper and fast. In Tehran at the moment, 1 day a week, different parts of Tehran is cut from electricity because of the shortage of electricity and primarily because what I call the coin hunters, the Bitcoin hunters, because of the cheap electricity costs in Iran, they have moved into Iran and using 10, 15% more of the energy. If the government of Iran, the Ministry of Oil and Industry, take this unit and put it across Tehran, Tehran will have enough surplus energy to supply the city of Baghdad, where the Americans want the city to be under control, that they can control it. If you do not know, let me explain to you one thing. Part of the oil, what we call nuclear negotiation in 5+1, one of the 16 demands of the Biden American government from us is to stop selling electricity and power generation into Iraq and Afghanistan. That Iran doesn't become a power generator into the region, control. With this technology, we have enough to supply into Turkey, into Pakistan, and the rest of Middle East, more or less free of charge. Exactly what French are doing in Europe, supplying electricity when the demand is high through their power generation and the cable set. They have so much that French government supplies all the electricity of Vatican free. So if you can give a nation of Vatican free electricity, we can give free electricity to nation of Kuwait, Dubai, and the rest of the Emirates. As I said to the Americans once, Iran is a benevolent nation. We give everything free, even our technology, let alone the energy. Yusuf John, can you open the fridge that we can see? Do we have any more ice there?
بله چشم.
حالا خوشحالی یوسف؟
الان آره دیگه خستگی خیلی مدت زیاد ریخت.
خیلی ازت تشکر میکنم برای همه کارات.
شما سلامت. این یخچال تصویر دارید؟
بله. The fridge is still brighter than before. فریزرش چجوری کار میکنه؟
از دوربین رو درست بکنید روی
Rick, can you let him to show the freezer? Change the camera. Underneath.
خطاش مشخص.
You can see the ice. مرسی یوسف جان.
خواهش میکنم. یه بوق کوچیک استارت یخچالو زد، یعنی دیگه حداقل تا 10 دقیقه تا 15 دقیقه دیگه بیشتر پاور جواب نمیده. در یخچالی که باز میکنیم،
بله
در یخچالی که باز کردیم موقعی که نه کمپرسورش موقعی که استارت میزنه الان که درش باز بود یه بوق زد، یعنی که یه افت ولتاژ کوچیک چون درش باز بود داشت. حالا میریم احتمالاً تا 10 دقیقه دیگه 15 دقیقه دیگه کمتر بوق اصلی تموم شدن پاورش رو میزنه احتمالاً.
مرسی. Yusuf says he estimates another 10 or 15 minutes the system will shut down because when he opened the fridge door, the pulling of the currents, maybe for the light or a compressor, picked a blip. So in 10 or 15 minutes, around about 2 hours from the time we started, we expect to see the system to shut down, which is more or less 4 times than to 1. But we'll see. We expect
تصویر رو میخواید روی
بله؟
تصویر رو میخواید روی دوربین فیکس بذارید.
Rick, can you go back to the other camera, the fixed camera, please? Do you want to switch over? Yeah, we're back on it. It's around about 2:13 in Tehran. Is it 3:13 or 2:13?
الان 2:12 است. ما انقدر پروفسور 2-3 شب نخوابیدیم، خیلی لاتنسی داریم برای فکر کردن و دیدن و پردازش. خورده.
مرسی. آره همه زحماتتون.
سلامت.
140 بار توان مصرفی الان بهش.
خب بیاین توضیح رو شما بدم.
آقای دکتر 340 بار.
بله
340 بار داره مصرف میکنه کل سیستم، درسته؟ ولی باتری ما الان
با اینورتر و لایتات بالای این
340 وات داره الان مصرف میشه، ولی باتری که ما وصل کردیم تقریبا 700 واته، یعنی سر بخواد مثلا افیشنسیشو بدون تلفات حساب بکنی فکر نمی‌کنم بیشتر از 1 ساعت و نیم تا 1 ساعت و 40 دقیقه باید کار میکرد. یعنی اینم جزو چیزایی که میشه تو محاسبه آورد، یعنی توان بیشتر شده.
Mercy. What is said is that the system on it when it runs is about 700. Now it's around about 350, 400 on a standby, the way it is as it is now. And it should work for another 2 hours, 40 minutes, 2 hours, 30 minutes. So we are just about, we are about nearly completing the 2 hours. ساعت چنده یوسف جان؟
ساعت الان 3:15 است تقریبا. البته پروفسور الان 500 وات اصلاح میکنیم، 500 وات داره مصرف میشه. وقتی که کمپرسور یخچال روشنه 500 تا 510 میره. الان هم در همون وضعیته، یعنی یخچال تقریبا هولوش 200 تا، اینورتر بین 150 تا تقریبا تا 130 تا مصرف داره، لامپ 200 وات و لامپ 7 وات. یعنی در واقع مجموعش چیزو
What Yusuf is telling me now, the system is pulling him over 0.5 kilowatt with the fridge, the inverter, the 230 watt light. It's important to show that the system works both for light and load, because the 15, what do you call it, 215 watt systems is a load because it's a LED light. And you have a, what do you call it, the old version 200 watt, and then you have a load of the inverter as a load, resistive load with the fridge when the pump kicks it. So this is a combination load, which shows it works for both, and that's what is important. If you only have a light system in the house and no fridges, you can run one battery for maybe 2 or 3 days. The more LED lights you put on, or the more other lights you put. We're just entering 2 hours in the next minute or two. We saw the failure of the system at 35 minutes, the present world of science and technology, and the new world of science is 3 times more. We expect it to shut down in the next 15 minutes, and that will already pass what we promised.
Stefania from the Italian sector has a hand up.
The Italians already camped outside here for tomorrow. You know, tomorrow is the Italian day for testing. Okay, now we rang, so we switch everything off. زمان چقدره؟
زمان 3 قطع شد. نه قطع شد. قطع شد. شارژش کرد.
ببینم میشه در یخ رو باز کنیم. No, it's still going on. Can you open the fridge? Open it fully. Yeah, the fridge is still going on. Okay, we thought it stopped. Now we are exactly 2 hours. 2:18.
بارها داشتیم از این بوقایی که میزنه، موقعی که یه خورده افت ولتاژ میکنه و دوباره ادامه میده.
خب ما واقعی که کاملا وایسه وقتی یخچال خاموش شد وای میسه.
نه در تست‌های مختلف، گاهی شده یه بوق زده 2 ساعت بعدش رفته با گاهی بوق زده.
خب اونو ما we only go when the fridge light switches off like the other side. What did you say, Rick?
Hello, Mr. Cash.
Oh, yes, the Italian. Yeah, I was telling you, the Italians already outside the
That's what I was about to say.
Yep. They're coming with the
Yes,
caravan.
we have, yes, I know Antonio is there waiting for you tomorrow. So I'm really excited from Radio 1111. So he will be there. He can wait to see you. Yes, we got Lucio here. He wanted to ask you a few questions on the Magrav. He's online here. Lucio, can you mi puoi sentire?
Sì, ti sento.
Ok, puoi fare la domanda a Mr. Cash così traduco?
Good morning, Mr. Okay.
Sì. O tu fare in inglese se vuoi.
In particolare, se i core del Magrav, cioè le palline di ping pong, se devono essere nanoricoperte.
He want to ask if the ping pong ball in the Magrav can be nano-coated.
I don't know why you lot all have so locked into ping pong ball nano-coated, non-nano-coated. What difference does it make? If it's nano-coated, then it stops the energy to come out because you lock it in.
Lui sta dicendo, non sa perché voi siete fissati con le palline nano ricoperte, quando le palline nano ricoperte, se lo fanno ricoperte, fermi l'energia ad entrare.
Quindi no, non devono essere nanoricoperte.
So it means no, means they don't have to be nano.
I don't answer yes or no. It's the knowledge you got to expand on it. That's the beauty with the Cash Foundation.
Ha detto che tu devi capire questo sapere, non ti risponde sì o no.
Sì, ho capito.
You understood?
È meglio
Second question.
Cilindriche o sferiche?
Are you going to send us some pizza for lunch? Yes, please.
Come forma? La forma migliore, il cilindro o la sfera?
Scusa, per che cosa? I ask you another question. Puoi ripetere, Lucio?
How come he doesn't answer my question when I ask him a question?
About the pizza?
Yeah.
Which is your question, Mr. Cash?
Yeah, it's okay. No problem. You didn't get the joke. It's okay.
The pizza, yes, is coming tomorrow.
Dicevo, se i core, se queste è meglio farli il Magrav, è meglio farli in forma sferica o in forma cilindrica?
Lui said this ball is better round or cylindric form?
Pardon?
He's saying this ball, no, it's better to do in a spheric form or form. You didn't understand?
What ball are you referring to?
Quale palla stai riferendo? The one of the Magrav, he's saying.
Yeah, Mr. Ket mentioned earlier, there is no ping pong ball in the Magrav.
Ha detto che non ci sono palline di ping pong nel Magrav.
Ah, non ci sono?
No. Ok, understood. Altre domande, Lucio?
Allora, se ci sono i condensatori plasmatici.
So he asked him, there are the plasmatic non so come si dice in inglese.
بوم دوم رو زد.
The plasmatic
صدا رو دارین؟ پروفسور؟
Hai chiesto, non lo so tradurre.
Capacitors plasmatici.
There are capacitor, plasmatic capacitor.
روی 22 دقیقه.
What's the question?
Are there some capacitor?
Okay, we're gonna stop. We're gonna stop. The system has stopped working.
Okay.
And if you can switch off, the light has gone on the system. And we switch the system off. What's the time, Yusuf Chan?
3:20 دقیقه قطع شد. 2 دقیقه پیش.
Okay. It was 3:20 Tehran time, exactly 2 hours. Where the other system stopped in, what do you call it, 35 minutes. So we have proven what we said is there, and 3 times more or less, than the existing system of 4 times equal time. We've proven openly the new technology works, and as it is, we taught you 7 years ago, 5 years ago, and you couldn't replicate it. Now it's in front of us, we see it. 2 hours exactly took to change the course of history and the knowledge openly as we've done before. This means 1 in 4 power stations needed to supply what we have today. Don't forget, we have a lot of losses here. When you go to the enhancement units, you don't have many of these converters and inverters and everything else with it. System is much more efficient. So in a way, each power station, nuclear power station at 30 billion, it's a saving of 120 billion for a nation. Do we need to invest in an obsolete technology? Any other question? Or we are, thank you very much. Or we are ready to move into what I call the main course. I hope after 6 years of a lot of rubbish talk, we can, as we say, solve it and try to understand. Because you don't understand technology doesn't mean the technology is wrong. But the beauty of this is not this electrical side. The beauty of it is what you haven't realized up to now is the plasmatic side. The field this system now creates in that space is beyond imagination. This field can be measured. We've done that in, what do you call it, Arizona. 200 yards outside the building, they could measure it. This is where we are, where is the new technology moves into. Now, Yusuf Chan, به قول معروف حجابتو کشیدی روش چی معلوم نباشه که بتونین نشون بدین.
روزبه جان.
We're trying to see if the system on the other side is ready to go, but they have recorded beforehand, and I forwarded to our people here If they cannot go through with it, then show it.
دوربین فیکس رو میچرخونم و دوربین خودم هم روشن کردم اگر آماده هستم.
We're going to turn now to evolution in the science. Now we buried the past. This unit in front of you is a change in the world of man, in the change of science and technology. And in a way, I hope once we show this, no nation will make any more weapons because there's no more lethal weapon than this weapon. Energy, the basic hydrogen. Production of hydrogen is the backbone, creation of the hydrogen is a backbone to life on this planet. CH3, sugar-based, energy-based. Everything we have is connected to hydrogen. We don't use it, we don't burn it, we have no energy. And in a way, what you see now is a breakthrough. And again, it goes back to what we can do, what we can show. Yusuf John, you can show us what outside.
Again,
can you change to the other video, please? Rick? This is the new plasma energy system. Gas power energy unit, which produces hydrogen at will, as we need. The beauty of it is just have a look. Every of those bubbles is one atomic hydrogen in a massive order. And the only way we can tell you what it is burn it. Can you switch it on and burn it?
ما صبر میکنیم که یه 5-6 دقیقه بیشتر شارژ بشه چون تا الان خاموش خیلی سریع شروع میکنه خیلی سریع تولید میکنه یه 5 دقیقه منتظر میمونیم بعد شعله رو سعی میکنیم روشن
کنیم. What Yusuf says is we just switch the system on. We need 4 or 5 minutes to build up the gas that we can burn it for you. And Rick, we need to go back to the other camera. Hello? Rick? Oh, yeah, you're back. This technology, this system, in its simplicity is the way the Keshe Foundation has worked for years. We made knowledge so simple and accessible that a king or a man in the back of Africa would understand it in a simple way.
Mr. Keshe.
Yes. Excuse me, Stefania, can you stay offline for the time being, please?
Yes, no problem.
Thank you. Rick, can you go to the system? To the other camera, yes? Yes, Yusuf.
این خروجی یونیت هست که گاز رو استخراج البته چون زمان نداشتیم دیگه به دستور شما از اینجا مستقیم میسوزونیم ولی بار بعد برای ذخیره
Let me explain to you what's going to happen. The hydrogen comes into the liquid and it stays pure 100% hydrogen. In the power, in the next step to this, we connected this to show the fire burning. In the system, which will be, the system will show next day on Thursday teaching, we bring in a 5-liter reserve tank, which means we feed into the reserve tank that you don't need to switch on. The system can continuously on and produce the what we call the energies in it.
تست اول رو میریم ببینیم روشن میشه اگه نشد 5 دقیقه بیشتر صبر میکنیم.
What he says, because the gases has to build up, they're going to test it to see if the gas is built up. Otherwise, it just needs to wait 5 or 10 minutes to produce again hydrogen. It took Americans billions of dollars to do this.
می‌بینید جناب پروفسور؟
بله بله.
الان تصویر رو بزن.
Is it? Can we made enough?
زیادش کن.
I haven't made enough gas yet.
خب الان روشن شد، خاموش شد.
کاغذ رو بگیر اون پهلوش روشن میشه.
منفجر شد. شلنگ نزدیک منفجر بشه.
This is good because you can see. چی شد؟ داغ شده؟
نه برگشت تو شلنگ یه جرقه چیز زد، آتشین زد. هم میتونیم دوباره بگیریم؟ چون نمیشه. خب پروسه دیگه فاصله بده. فرصت بدیم بیشتر بشه. تمام.
Switch it off and wait. We can wait 1 hour. There is no hurry.
بذارین بیشتر شاید.
بذارین just wait. Let it build up. Let it build up. This is a live presentation, so let's switch the machine off not to create too much gas in the cylinder. Klaus, do you have the recording of the last test I sent you? Okay, we're going to go and have a look at the test done before we come online, because they let it go, because you cannot build up too much hydrogen, it becomes an explosive gas in that little container. So they had to stop the system before. We show you the video. Rick, you have to stop and allow Klaus to come in. KFSA, guest 2, please.
اون بهتر نظر.
Can you come in, Klaus? Yeah, this is the test done before we come in. This is the system, you can see it. You can see it's the same system. You can see now we wait till they build up the gas and then we show the system. This is
10 دقیقه یه رو به دیگه اینجا میتونیم چیز بکنیم، منفجر بکنیم. الان باید چون تازه روشن کردیم خیلی نگرانم هستیم، چون به قول معروف یکی از دوم سومی تستمون میشه که اون چیزا رو نذاشتیم.
خیلی خوب.
اوکی، صبر میکنیم تو روشنش کنیم.
خیلی خوب. مرسی. Can you go back on the stand camera, please? Yeah. They don't want to run the system too long because we had to wait 2 hours for the other test to complete, and they have to burn the gas very quickly and stop the system. میشه برید جلو نزدیک ببینیم چی میشه. We don't have a reserve tank. On Thursday presentation, there will be a reserve tank that we can show everything. But it's important for you to see monoatomic gas, which is the backbone of hydrogen technology, can be done in a very simple way. You have to just that little bit you see about water. That's the reserve they have. Where if they could run this for a long time, they can put it into a reserve tank and you can burn it for hours. A system can be stopped at will, or production can be increased. We control it. This is a natural level which is done. And if they go to a higher speed, it can be dangerous for the Tesla. اون سیستم قبلی که بهش داشتی با چیز زیاد میکرد گازو چی نمیتونی بهش وصل کنی؟
اون دیگه خیلی زیاد، اون کنترلش سخت بود چون خیلی زیاد واکنش نشون میداد. برای کنترلش ما ابزاری که امروز روز تعطیل بود نداشتیم. امروز باید کوچیک‌تر درست می‌کنیم، ولی همین کوچیک هم حداقل به اندازه نیاز فکر می‌کنم یه خونه شاید بیشتر هم بتونه تولید داشته باشه هر چیزی که ازش هست. خب ببین شما من ویدیومو باز می‌کنم که تست دوم رو بگیرم.
They tried, they think they produce enough gas. They say the unit can produce enough gas as it
کاغذ
is
سفید
by a house. So it's very dangerous for them to go any further. But I show you because they tested, we've seen it.
Oh.
You said
can
you change just Rick, can you change to the other camera, please? Yeah, okay. میتونی بری یه سرچن. ولی اون یکی شیر بسته.
موضوع دستش.
شیر اصلیتون بسته.
سمتم بگیر. شیر پایین.
شیر پایینتون بسته.
بودو این شغله.
Yes, you see it?
دیگه نزدیک دستگاه نگیر.
Now you can see how fast we have proven the end of the technology as we know it.
این خیلی شعله میده. خیلی هم ما چون خطر داره زیاد دستش نمیزنه. خاموش کن. اینجا هر چم استفاده میکنین بیشتر تولید.
Call on demand.
اوکی. دیگه دست بهش نزن. خاموشش کن.
خیلی متشکرم. خیلی ممنون.
خواهش میکنم.
Switch everything off. Now you've seen it.
سلامت باشین. اینم تصویر دیگه مونه که چون صحبت نکرده بودیم دیگه فعلا نشونش.
نشونش نه. اونو بذاریم باشه بیرون. The other box you see, the small one, is the miniature version of this, portable for a car. It's the same unit, and in a way, the whole structure of the physics as we know it today starts a new beginning from today. We produce gas at will from the fields of the universe, and we don't need to dig holes, mines, use cracking to get oil, change and damage the environment. And please send this one to the German government. Bombard it. Your German team here, you're going to pay heavy in next few months if you don't get your gas sorted out. You're already heading for, as your member of parliament and cabinet said, unrest because of the cost of the fuel. There should be no cost. 30 cents should be an average price for a unit. And as we said, what you donate, we allow to be spread around the world, that it cannot be a scuffle. It's not anymore one scientist, they Belgians can give a cup of tea on the table and kill and siphon it. Now the technology sits in Tehran, and we show the same in other countries around the world. Welcome to the change in the world of science and technology. And we today buried both the old and the new. We showed you how you got your thing wrong for 5 years and how is correct and is correct on the other side for production of hydrogen gas. Is somebody telling us something? No. So we see the change. We come back on Thursday. We'll have a bigger surprise for you on Thursday. And we will see more. And if there are any questions, we answer and we leave it as that. Send this video to your governments and send it to atomic energy authorities directly. Let them see. Maybe now we have to boycott the nations who have a nuclear bomb, because now we have a thing which makes them obsolete. We don't let them use. Sanctions and boycotts in America has to be a priority for them not to use the weapon technology of a nuclear, and the rest of the European nations. Any questions? Or we leave you at this point and we just showed you the change in the history of science. Are there any questions?
We have a K with a hand up. Would you like to go ahead, please?
Hi, Rick, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, clearly.
Hi, Mr. Kesh. Hi to
خوبی؟
everyone. مرسی فدات بشم.
هوای ایران چطوره؟ خوش میگذره تهران؟
جای شما خالی، لطفت کم نشه، فدای شکلت. ایشالله که به زودی بیای راه به ایران باز بشه و انشالله این تکنولوژی قشنگ از اینجا به قول گفتنی رولش بکنی. It's a pleasure. It's been beautiful. As you're aware, I'm in Iran for the past 2 weeks, and I've met over Yusuf quite a bit. And today's achievement is absolutely unbelievable, in particular with the hydrogen gas, which is unprecedented. My kudos, my congratulations to you and to your hard work, and obviously to the team with KF Iran, with Yusuf and his beautiful team who has put all this together and worked very hard. I had the privilege of knowing how hard it is. We're going back and forth between me and Tehran for the past 2 weeks to get this project to come to a conclusion. I'm really and truly chuffed and excited at the same time. And I just wanted to thank you and the whole team worldwide, actually, and in particular for today's achievement and presentation. I wish from the bottom of my heart we will get the world peace as this technology is catching up in every domain. Hopefully the leaders will come together and roll out this world peace for the future of the humanity. I just want to say thank you to all and for this greatest gift that you and your team have presented to the humanity. God bless.
Thank you very much, Kausha. Kaus was with us last week in Linz. He went through the system. He couldn't get anywhere with it, but he went. When we gave him the whole, what do you call it, the flight system. Kaus is part of what you call Keshe Foundation UK. He's in Iran to meet his family. And he'll be back. We'll most sort of see him in about a week or two when he's back. Enjoy the most beautiful time in Iran, which is the summertime. Any other question?
Mr. Cash.
Yes.
Yes, he wants to know, Lucio, if there are some plasma. I forgot the name now. One second. Ask to Lucio. Lucio, which is the name you want to know? If there are some plasma capacitor, inside the
that's
energy
our
unit.
technology development. Sorry, you had
okay.
the capacitors for 7 years, 6 years.
Okay.
It's too late to ask these questions.
Glielo dico. I tell him it's too late for this question per chiedere queste domande. I wanted to.
Are there any other questions?
Sì, ce n'è un'altra. So,
okay.
per esempio,
Stefania, it's okay.
Sì.
Just let it go. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions?
C'era una domanda.
Rick, are there any other questions?
We had one question that was kind of interesting from Mr. Henry in YouTube. He says, I'm sending my intentions to the unit for it to last longer. Can this take effect?
It could do, depends if you're tuned to it. If your strength is at the hydrogen level, most probably yes. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kesh.
Please send these to your ambassadors, doesn't matter which country you're in, and explain to them what it is. Send it to your government, show it to your governors. And I've done my work. Now is your time to bring the change. We show you more on Thursday. This is innovation from Tehran. The second part of this presentation will be on Thursday, usual 9 o'clock, KFSSI teaching, which is a live presentation for the what we call another part of to show the extension in the knowledge. And I think you'll be more surprised with what you see in Austria as well, because it brings another new dimension to work out the Keshe Foundation. Thank you very much, Rick. And I hope after 5 years, you will learn the maglev systems in a different way works. Thank you very much. And please, if you want, you can place your orders through the Keshe Foundation directly into not through the PayPal. PayPal takes too long and they have limitation. Pay your payments through the other channels of the Keshe Foundation, and we'll start delivering these units around the world. Thank you very much, Rick, and the whole of the Keshe Foundation team in the background. See you Thursday, and hopefully we show you something more magical. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe, for all your magic and science that you brought us here today and continue to bring. Okay, let me share my other background here. And thank you, everyone, for attending today's Energy Blueprint Day, Part 1 from Tehran on Monday, July 18th, 2022. We look forward to the next Part 2, as Mr. Keshe mentioned, which will happen during the Knowledge Seekers Workshop, which starts at 9 a.m. Central European Time on Thursday, July 21st, I believe it is. Let me see. I better double check on that. Just a second here. Yes, it's be the 21st coming up. So we look forward to the next part 2 at that time. Okay, we'll go out with the musical version of the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit. Thank you, everybody, for today. And our next public teaching workshop will be the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace. And that starts at 4 p.m. Central European Time. That'll be tomorrow, July 19th. And that will be with members of the Universal Council and support members from the Universal Council. And that's it for now. Thanks, everyone.